I'm Jessica Blaustein with Clarion Healthcare, and we consult to biotech and pharma companies on all sorts of issues related to commercialization. We find that a lot of our clients are very, very interested in understanding the payer perspective really early in drug development. And I'm just wondering what sort of collaboration, those of you who are payers and those of you who are from the companies, what sort of collaboration you have, if any, and when does that happen? How early in drug development? And do you see it changing in the future? Thank you.
I hope it does change. I mean, all of us, as my kids say, I used to be a doctor, but I still am, is trying to figure out how do we meet the business needs of drug development, how do we shorten this enormous time frame, whether it's for something like an ALS drug or something that is maybe not as profound in terms of saving a life at that moment, but to understand where all those roadblocks are. So if someone came to me and said, we'd like to partner, understand what Blue Cross is doing about a Me Too drug, I go, don't even bother, we're not going to cover it, right? If someone came to me and said, we're developing this ALS drug, where are you on this? And say, we're waiting to develop it and get it to us and say it's not investigational anymore. But the real question is, can we survive the way the studies are currently being done? We heard about we heard today about ALS and looking at how do we shorten that and being patient advocates who go to the FDA. That's a small part of drug development, hugely important, but what is it that makes the business case all around? And I want to give you one more perspective. When you think about Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're the largest payer, not for profit in Massachusetts, but 55% of our business is self-funded, which means all we do is pay the claim and administer it. So the real people at the end of that food chain, if you will, who are paying the bill for all of the accounts, like those who create the drug. So that, when you think it's a monolithic, company, it's not. It's these very important individual companies who buy insurance from us or from others, who actually are the ones who pay the bill. Now, they want to have drug development. They also don't want to pay for things that drive up their cost without understanding the overall benefit. So we need a national dialogue around how this changes, because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable with healthcare reform and the cost being very transparent. It's not sustainable to have the return on investment in drug development be 15 to 20 years for $3 billion, and then some of the other end paying for this at half a million dollars, but point, so what is it we can do? How do we get those discussions up front? If we're doing this, how do we partner with that? And no one's asking, everybody's asking that question, but no one has structured a dialogue to say this is what we have to do. And what can we do with the big data that insurance companies have? I mean, across the Blue system, we have 100 million covered lives. 100 million covered lives. United Healthcare is 35 million covered lives. There's got to be something in those data repositories that give us an early peek view into what may happen if we can harness that in the appropriate way with drug development and earlier migration of the drugs into the study. But those are chasms that have to be jumped over. And I think similar to what we heard about patient advocacy, someone has to raise that question for the future of drug development, which we can't afford to lose. But how do we get all the players involved? And when? And the when is now.